Hey all, here are OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at the Fiio M5. This is a DAP, or digital audio player, that is high-res audio certified, as expected from an audiophile brand like Fiio, and it also is high-res audio wireless certified because it uses the latest Qualcomm chip that supports certain codecs like Qualcomm's aptX, LDAC, SBC, AAC, just to name a few, when it comes to giving you really high quality listening experience, even if you're using in the wireless Bluetooth mode. It's also one of the cutest and smallest designs that we've seen yet from a high-res player. It's a little reminiscent of the Shanling M0, but the M5 improves on many of those features in giving you more of those wireless high-res codecs, including, again, the aforementioned SBC, AAC, which the Shanling lacks. In addition, Fiio has also put in some fitness functions, including a pedometer, and there's even an accessory band that can transform it into a smartwatch of sorts. This model here sells for $99, so it's certainly very competitive, and it relies on a full touchscreen display, which is also IPS. The M5 uses a pretty high-quality DAC, or digital to audio converter chip, and it's the AK4377. DACs are one reason why these dedicated MP3 players still exist today, just because in more premium players like this, the audio quality through this chipset is going to give you more granular detail and music reproduction compared to what we'll find on most smartphones, and why this market still exists. This can also work as a pass-through DAC to improve your existing audio quality. You can connect it by USB-C to your computer, and then basically if you're playing back sound from your computer, it's going to pass through the DAC on this player, and then you're going to plug your headphones into this player, and it becomes almost an external sound card that then improves the audio quality. So you can use it as a USB DAC. Otherwise, in the Bluetooth mode, it also has built-in microphones, so you can even use it for making phone calls, and it's noise canceling microphones as well. So there's a lot of interesting smart features which are being integrated. In here, we'll find an extra screen protector for the front display. There is an existing screen protector applied onto the rear of the player, which we can also peel off just to kind of protect it from fingerprints and scratches. A quick start guide, as well as a USB Type-C cable for charging and the pass-through DAC function. And there's also a clip that you get inside of the packaging that allows you to easily wear this onto a shirt. Taking a closer look at the design of the M5, it does feel extremely premium. The entire body is made of an aluminum chunk, unibody, and the front here is dominated by that glass, which gently curves off at the edges. On the top, you'll find access to the Type-C port. There's also the micro SD card slot for you to pop in your own card. The very top here also features the 3.5mm headphone jack. We'll also find access to volume controls, which are tactile and responsive, in addition to a power key. The rear of the player just says Fiio. It's very shiny, and it's also made out of a glass material, and also stamps proudly high-res audio and high-res audio wireless. It takes roughly 10 seconds for the player to boot up, and otherwise we're presented to a very simple and easy-to-use interface. Initial impressions would be that the touchscreen is extremely sensitive. It's just super easy to use, all the icons are oversized, and they're well saturated as well. Now, as a quick size comparison, here's the Baseplay P3000, which doesn't have a touchscreen, and also here is the X-Duo X3400 that we did a review on, a very popular model, also a budget premium hi-fi player, and you can see it's a lot larger by comparison, even though this is already smaller than most of our average smartphones here in 2019. So you get the idea of how lightweight and tiny the M5 is by comparison, but definitely don't be fooled. It still packs a punch in terms of giving you really crystal clear and super detailed audio quality for those that want the best in sound, but also in a really compact form factor. So taking a closer look at its kind of menu features, we can see the time information on the very top, the volume controls. You can also tap on here to adjust that, and when you tap once, you can also use the slider here to move up and down to change the volume further. Taking a look at the functions one by one, starting with the step counter or the pedometer, you do have to tap on start in order for it to begin recording your steps using the accelerometer. If you don't tap on that, it doesn't automatically detect your steps. But afterwards, we can actually leave this widget, and you can see the small walking icon on the background here. That means that your number of steps are currently being tracked. It's definitely a little bit on the sensitive side and not quite as accurate as, say, a Xiaomi Mi Band or Honor Band. So if you have an existing smartwatch, it's not going to be, the most amazing feature in the world, but it's a nice little touch if you just want to bring along one device when you're out running or jogging. A log page on the side will also display the date as well as how many steps you walked during that session for that day. Under category, you can see different types of music through various genres. We can create playlists directly on the player, and we can also sort by the artist, album, as well as the genre. Now swiping over again, we can take a look at our currently playing song, and from the main home screen, you can also have the ability to swipe down like a notification tray to take a look at the current song that's being played. You can also adjust the play, pause, skip track commands, as well as the brightness of the display. So that can all be done pretty easily using this gesture. And again, the UI as a whole is very smooth and responsive. Now I can tap on Browse Files if you have more complicated file structures on the SD card for you to then load back and then play along. You can then see that information here. So the player itself, the screen measures 1.54 inches diagonally, so very similar to a lot of smartwatches we've seen. It is a little bit small in the sense that it will only show about 4 rows of information when it comes to song titles, but the kinetic scrolling here is actually very smooth and responsive, and not too big of a deal when it comes to interacting with it. The next function is going to be that Bluetooth receiver, so you can turn on Bluetooth to both connect to wireless headphones if you're listening to music when running and jogging, and there's a small LED light, as you can see there, that will begin flashing in the pairing mode. Aside from receiving wireless headphones, you can also connect it again to your smartphone if you want to control music that's playing from your phone's memory, in addition to transform wired headphones into wireless ones. Basically connecting, again, the headphones into this, and now connecting this using Bluetooth to your smartphone, you're basically turning your wired, more expensive, audiophile grade headphones wireless. And we can also take a look at the equalizer function. Now, this player does not support custom EQs, which is one slight limitation compared to the Shanling M0, for example. But there are a few presets which do in fact work and changes the properties of the sound, so you can select between rock, classical, jazz, pop, dance, vocal, and metal. The next function over is recording, so it leverages the microphones and turns it into a voice recorder, so you can record maybe quick clips and maybe to-do lists, as well as meetings, lectures, things like that, and it does indeed work and just stores those recordings directly onto your memory card. So I can tap on this to begin, and you can see that it's going to start. There's a colorful kind of indicator of how much sound is being picked up. And those are all the core features of the player, just loops around and around in either direction in a carousel. Moving into audio quality and performance, the Fiio M5s don't disappoint. Overall, you get a really clean and detailed sound, and they work particularly well with hybrid in-ear monitors that have a bit more of a sensitive tuning to them. In particular, I was really impressed with the mids as well as with trebles. Anything that's acoustic and relies on vocals, these are extremely clean, and you can hear so many layers of details and textures within the vocals. It's simply something that you won't notice when compared with a typical smartphone being used as an MP3 player, for example. The chips here being focused more on power efficiency, being such a small unit, is going to work better with in-ear monitors and earphones, as well as smaller headphones, as opposed to something that's super punchy in terms of bass. But overall, you still get a really balanced sound. It's super pleasant for pop music, electronic music, so really impressive here when paired with good quality earphones. In addition to a properly recorded track, you do get a very immersive and lively, dimensional, roomy sounding experience. When being used as a Bluetooth receiver for your headphones, sound quality is also really good. There's no hints at all of static or distortion in the background, even though we're now wireless, so you can play and pause a track. There is almost no latency at all. You can watch a video comfortably, and you can also listen to music with just so much more detail and resolution and balance than what you'll find from connecting, wireless earbuds directly to the phone or tablet, just because this thing has much more powerful internals as well as a higher quality DAC that's doing the job, in conjunction with the higher quality earbuds that you're using as well with better drivers. And whenever audio is being played, you can see that there's going to be an LED indicator that starts glowing a magenta color just to give you an indicator versus blue, which is when audio is paused. To conserve on battery, the screen will also be turned off when music is being played back so that it can last a little bit longer. And indeed, it lasted me about 14 hours in my testing in this Bluetooth mode, which is, I think, quite good for something so small. Really, the last thing to point out would be the quality of the microphones, which I also found to work much better than expected. The noise cancellation is actually a great feature that many wireless earbuds are even lacking, so you can actually make phone calls in slightly crowded spaces, and it still is able to delineate and pick up your voice quite well. So that's more or less it as far as our closer look and hands-on review of the Fiio M5. Overall, I think that this is an excellent and just really cute mini digital audio player. Now, this may seem like a dying breed at first because here in 2019, even Apple has more or less pulled out of making dedicated music players, but this market still exists to those that are audiophiles and crave higher quality sound that's more clean, more precise, nuanced, and balanced, allowing you to take full advantage of the drivers found on more expensive earphones and in-ear monitors than what you'll get from plugging it into a cheaper player or directly into your smartphone. So a device like this with higher quality internals is going to provide you that, but also in one of the sleekest and smallest form factors yet. $99 in the world of audiophile gear is also considered relatively inexpensive, and even Fiio sells more expensive models that technically give you slightly more resolution and detail. So if you are someone that wants even higher quality sound, there are certainly options to consider as well. But this strikes a good balance of being good enough that the difference is noticeable compared to, again, playing back music from your smartphone, but also being relatively compact and not really breaking the bank, which makes it, I think, a good choice even for consumers looking to step up the audio performance that they're getting, and they want to look for a dedicated device maybe to take to the gym or as an everyday player to just navigate around with that's going to give you really clean audio quality and also wireless features to boot that are also high-res certified. So you can check out more details if you're interested in the links down below. A very interesting player that also dabbles in some fitness features, but those are, I would say, mostly secondary. It's still going to be primarily focused on sound and giving us a very sleek and elegant design and UI. You can check out more details if you're interested in the links down below, but for now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Fiio M5.